Jim Ziegler, and this is the Dawg Pound. Ladies and gentlemen, we got another exciting show. I promise we're going to be controversial, we're going to be irreverent, and we've got the blockbuster team of experts on today, starting with my good friend, 15, 20 years, who knows how far back we go, former president of General Motors, former senior vice president in charge of marketing for Ford Motor Company, head of All-State Dealer Division, and now with Charge Incorporated, my friend, Mark LaNeve. Hey, Mark, how you doing, big guy?
I'm great, Jim. You know what a big fan I am of yours. I'm delighted you have me on the show. Can't wait.
It's a heavy responsibility being a legend. And sitting right next to you, the queen of BDC, the woman that can do it all, has done it all, and can do more, Bobbie Herron. Hello, Bobbie.
Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone.
Okay, and direct from Moscow, the mad Russian himself. No, you know, Max is in Pennsylvania today, still hacking the election polls. Max Zanan. How you doing, big guy?
I'm good, Jim. Another day in paradise.
Paradise? I thought you were in Pennsylvania. Hey, I was born in Pennsylvania.
So was I.
Where I was born in Abington, Pennsylvania.
Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Whose hometown? Who's the most famous?
Yeah,
I don't know. Tell me.
Joe Namath's hometown. Joe the Jet.
Broadway. I thought you were going to say you.
Joe Namath. He's pushing Medicare supplements.
He is. I just saw his hat.
Look at him.
I flew a plane in first class with Joe Namath about 10 years ago. That boy will have a cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
Or five or six.
I wonder what the residual looks like on that new push for him.
Oh.
And I'm talking about the one of the best female executives or executive of any kind in the entire industry. I'm talking about a woman that can do everything from general management, every job in a dealership, and she does it better than just about everybody. Jennifer Briggs.
Hey, guys. Yeah, no, definitely. I will. I'm the first person to pick up the popcorn that spills on the ground because it drives me nuts.
Absolutely. And not only that, but you're getting married in September?
November 6th. We had our first big blended family vacation trip over the holiday. So it was awesome.
You're a brave woman. You're putting together the Brady Bunch.
She loves it too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm most excited for is her bachelorette party that I'm throwing with my
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
It's supposed to be low key.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that Girls Go Wild video. You guys make.
It's gonna be amazing. It's a co-ed party, and it's gonna be. Jennifer said we couldn't do anything that was less than classy at the wedding, including a super fun run down the aisle kind of dance thing. So I said
a flower guy with a
Well, the last time you guys were in Atlanta visiting with me, we had a policeman handcuff Bobbie.
Bobbie got arrested.
But Bobbie was just too comfortable in his handcuffs. I think she'd done it before.
It was a special request. That officer needed a better night, and so I needed a picture. I can't believe he complied still. I just showed somebody that the other day, like, oh, look, it's the only time I've ever been arrested, but I asked for it.
Okay, and from Olive Branch, Mississippi at Homer Skelton Ford, working with my good friend Brian Chapman and Chris True. Durran Cage. Hello, Durran.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's super cool to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversations today. So thank you, Jim.
Well, who knows what we're going to talk about? We never planned this show. I mean, you're planning, and my gosh. First of all, I just got through reading this week's edition of Automotive News, and it's all about electric cars. That's been about the fifth week in a row. I mean, page after page, electric cars. And now we got Mark LaNeve Mark, you're with Charge Incorporated. What do you guys do?
Yeah, about the beginning of June, I'm 1 month into it. The company's called Charge Enterprises. In fact, you can reach me at LaNeve at Charge.Enterprises. And a startup in the space, Jim. We're publicly traded. We're looking to get uplisted on NASDAQ. Right now, we're over the counter. And it's really a telecom company that sees the opportunity in the charging infrastructure, EV infrastructure, and we're converting, we're acquiring a lot of assets, and we're taking all of our existing assets, and basically it's the same kind of work to be able to install the hardware, the fast level 2 chargers, the DC fast chargers, design a solution, say for a dealership or a hotel or an office complex, design it, and permit it, install it, run the software, maintain it, and it's a space that if you look, like you said, if you look at automotive news these days, or even the Wall Street Journal, or just the alerts that I get pop up on Google and Bloomberg and what have you, it's a very fast moving space. There's no question it's going to grow. There's lots of issues with it growing, but it's going to grow exponentially. And in order for people to overcome some of the range anxiety and other fears, there's going to have to be a lot of chargers at home and at their place of work, and overnight at a hotel, at their office building, and out on the highway system. So
you're going to put these charging stations in dealerships. You're going to be putting them. There's a big debate right now whether they're going to be residential or whether they're going to be in businesses and office complexes and dealerships. And
I think it's going to be both. I think people that can afford it, certainly, you would think the current batch, namely Tesla. The vehicles are expensive, and most of those customers are putting a level 2 charger in their home. That means you can, in an 8-hour overnight, you can get to 300 miles charge easy. It does about 30, 40 miles per hour. The fast chargers do about an 80% charge in about 20 minutes to a half an hour.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, Max, what's this going to do with service contracts, big guy?
Well, listen, first of all, I'm a little confused, right? So what happens when you live in a city like New York City or San Francisco? Because I think these are the people that want to buy electric cars, but where do they charge them?
That's what Mark's all about. Do you charge? Are you going to buy a residential level 2 charger? What are you going to do with these things?
But if you live in New York City, you can't put this charger in your apartment. You can't put it in a garage, right? Where do you logistically charge your car?
Well, Max, it's a great question. Since I, my circle of friends, I've had people call since they found out I'm with the company saying, my homeowners association of our condo in Florida or our co-op in Manhattan, we voted to install 2 or 3 of them down in the basement where the people park or what have you. And so you're going to have a bunch of that. Plus, there's going to be a bunch of public charging stations around the city as well.
And then there's this new company that just came out called Ample. Now, Ample is playing with a concept that I had in writing 10 years ago. And what they're doing battery swaps, and they can do a battery swap in 15 minutes.
Yep.
And I put that in writing at least 10 years ago, maybe even farther back. I had it in some of my magazine articles. That why in the heck don't we change these things out like a propane tank on a gas grill?
Right.
Where they standardize them, they make them agnostic, where any car can use the same charging mechanism.
Because then it'd be like Apple sharing a charger with Android. They're not going to do it because then there's a loss. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not overly familiar with this, but then there's a loss in profit for each company. You can't monopolize the market that way.
What's your thoughts, Durran?
No, I'm with Bobbie on the last comment. The other thing, I guess, from the logistics where I'm at, you're talking about the Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas area over here. I just don't understand in terms of the charging stations. It would make a lot more sense, Jim, what you just said in terms of replacements, because when I'm driving out here and I'm training and consulting with different dealerships, you're talking sometimes you might go 50 or 75 miles without even seeing a gas station.
Right.
So for me, that would be my biggest fear and concern. Is what about us in the South and in the rural areas? How is that going to play out? And it sounds like if it's residential, then can in terms of affordability, what does that look like? And does it make sense over a fuel?
Well, I graduated from Meridian High School in Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
And believe me, you can get out there and run out of electricity and hear some banjo music.
Yes,
Well,
that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know,
So I think
to give you
part of
some
the difference,
sense,
so go ahead, Mark, because I have a question for you about this 80% charge in 20 minutes. But go ahead and finish your thought, and I'll.
Yeah,
come
Mark,
back.
you got to jump in. Just
Yeah.
jump in because
Yeah.
we're a passionate group. Yeah,
But
don't be
just,
afraid to just interrupt.
to give you some sense for the level 2 charger at home, the boxes are, and you know, there's 4 or 5 big companies involved with the boxes right now, or the units, and they're about $500, $600, $700 for the unit that would hang on the wall of your garage. This is what give you a 300-mile charge in about 8 hours, call it, overnight. You need a 240 line into it, which some homes have, some don't. But even if they don't, it's about $1,000 to $1,500. So for under $2,000, you're putting that fast charge, the ability to get a 300-mile charge overnight, you know, into your home. I'm guessing a lot of Tesla customers have that. Probably most. I'm just guessing.
Well, there's a lot of new players coming in the market. I just bought some investment in a company called Lucid.
Yep.
If you're familiar with the Lucid car, I think is going to kick Tesla pretty hard.
Well, and I think, you know, we've got, you know, 50% Highline as far as our brand representation goes. And we are not in the insane metro. We're Indianapolis, right? But we've got, you know, a good rural community around it as well. So it's not like New York City and it's not like Meridian, Mississippi, but we do a great job for our customers who are buying luxury EVs. And we've got mainline too. Right, we've got some great EV stuff coming out from Ford. We've got some wonderful mainline brands as well. But we always do a really great job. Like our customers know, and we're even doing some geofencing campaigns for folks who are driving those brands that didn't buy from us to know that they can come charge at our dealership. And I know that's not realistic for people every single day, but if they are driving through, and there's a lot of struggle with the range on the batteries, yes, and the time that it takes to charge them. So I'm super interested in this fast charging concept. But the battery swap too, like I think about it, my very soon to be stepdaughter is disabled. So we have a chairlift in our home. And I have 2 batteries for that sucker. Because if it runs out, I cannot carry her up the stairs. I've tried, but
Right.
So I need to have a backup battery, and I do have that. So we swap them in and out as needed.
Well, how are we going to transition to electric as an industry? That's where I'm trying to wrap my head around it. All of a sudden, every car in the world is obsolete.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gen
by
X,
2035, they're dictating that all these cars should be electric.
yeah. These Gen Z kids aren't going to put up with this gas stuff. I'll tell you that right now. I'm raising a couple of them, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They'll walk. I have 2, you know, biological children and many chosen, and they're all over 18. 3 of them don't even drive. Didn't even care if they got a license. Went, I'll use Uber, and it blew my mind. But I did look at, just kind of prepping for our conversation today. So I could be wrong on this, but the research that I did said that there was 3 million, I think, but the International Energy Agency said 3 million vehicles were registered last year, new electric cars, which was a 41% increase since 2019.
Well, right
That's
now,
huge.
EVs are still only 2.3% of the market.
yeah.
Well, what I want to know is, can you build an electric car without a chip? Because that'd be fantastic. We can get right on this immediately.
But if you read all the, first of all, Canada today announced that, you know, they're not going to let you buy anything, a gas engine after 2035.
Wow.
You know, the U.S. will probably land, you know, depending who the administration is.
But only for new cars, right? Because if somebody messes with me on my classic collectibles, I'm going to be mad.
Well, that's the point I was going to make, is that people are going to get a combination of fast charging at home, the level 2, the super fast charging at their office. You get topped off in a restaurant. You can get, and then think about it. There's, what's the U.S. car park? 300 million vehicles. They're 99.5% gas. It's going to take 20 years to work through those once you get to 20, 30, 35. So there'll be time to roll in. And I would think that the gas stations will start installing the fast chargers as a way slowly replace that revenue. And how many gas stations are there? 120,000, something like that. I mean,
well,
it'll work itself out, but it's going to take some doing. It's going to take government support too.
well, think about cash for clunkers though. We wiped out a lot of cars in a short time on a basic plan, and it worked. And everybody was like, "Oh, this isn't going to be a thing." And dealerships went wild and crazy over it, and so did customers. Some of the stuff that we adapt to and change, it's not like electric cars are new or the chargers that we're talking about for them. They're just a different or maybe improved option. But I have a great friend, Jennifer Volts, who she drives an electric minivan. I should know what it is, but I don't. And she plugs it in every night and she loves it. And I don't mess with it because I can't hear it when I drive. And I haven't adapted to that yet. But I know that I forget to put gas in my car, right? Like one of those really smart people when it comes to certain things who then can't find their glasses and they're on the top of their head. So gas even is a problem for me. I want to see like a charger box like this.
Well, so this is where
affordable.
That Bobbie, that's exactly where my mind's thinking, and the type of concierge services we provide to our customers. Like, why can't I have a mobile charging station? And I got it. You need the 240. But what if I had a big generator on a truck that was branded for my automotive group, and I went to people's offices or went to somewhere to be able to respond with a mobile charging station?
Well, that's what Mark is working on right now. That's
it is.
That's what Charge Enterprises is working on. I'm excited.
It's one of our solutions. There's a company out there now that has a big mobile unit that I forget what they're in San Francisco, I think, and they charge $25 to come to your office, or if you run out of juice or you're home, and $25 to do a fast charge in half an hour. Hey, we looked at a company the other day, guys, that they put the charging units. Their business right now is warehouses. So think of a huge Amazon warehouse, and a lot of those are electric forklifts. They put the charging unit underneath the floor, so it charges as it's rolling over it. Okay, and
like our weighted parts inventory shelves.
Exactly. So
love it.
So someday will New York City, will the whole Manhattan grid be half these underneath, or half the streets where the vehicles charges are riding over? Probably. We probably won't be around. I probably won't live long enough to see it, but it's going to be all those kind of things that are going to happen.
How close is that to a friction recharging technology like we see with some of the braking systems in the EVs, where that friction is recharging the battery in the street application? Would that be a possibility?
Sure would.
Well, let me ask, guys. Anybody driven the new Mustang?
I did.
I have not.
Tell me about it, Mark. Let me go back a little further. When Tesla was first, I'm going back about 3 years. Obviously, they were the hot commodity. I didn't want to like them. I didn't want to like the vehicle. I got a Tesla. What I get? I had an X, that SUV, for a week out of our test fleet, and I freaking loved it. And I did not want to like it. I was biased not to like it, but unbelievable torque. The whole information system, it's like your phone. It's intuitive. It learns your habits, your stations, your routes, and it asks you questions and responds to you. You could
driving a computer, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, you could take your key fob and walk it out. Go click, 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 and walk the vehicle out of your garage if you're in a tight parking spot or something like that. Over-the-air updates. Your brain trains you. You don't ever use the brake, because you can set it like your foot comes off the accelerator. You can set it to stop within 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet. After 3 days, your mind just trains you. You never end up using the brake.
So the Mustang E is the new, and now Ford's coming out with a truck.
Right. Well, then I was getting to that.
Oh yeah.
The Mach-E is every bit as good, if not superior, in many ways to that Tesla 3. The new truck, I drove the prototype of the Lightning.
The Lightning 2022.
Unfreaking believable. Just the accelerate. Now, what it does, I don't know if it was Jennifer or Bobbie that said it, you got to get used to no noise. You can actually you can actually program in noise, both of them, if you want. Unbelievable.
Oh, good.
Engine sound. And then
I need that.
Really cool with the truck.
Let me change the subject just slightly. Max, I'm looking at service contracts with batteries and We have a lot more expensive. Max is our finance guy, the reinsurance guy. You know, he's not totally a Russian agent. You know, he actually does work in the car business. You know.
So, you know, I'm sitting here, right, and I feel like the dinosaur, even though I'm probably the youngest here, right?
Max, I'm going to stop you right there, sir.
I mean, I feel like a dinosaur because philosophically, I am extremely opposed to electrification, right? Because of Tesla. Tesla broke the franchise laws, right? And I work with car.
That's why I didn't want to like them.
This is
Right,
going to get
I
interesting.
get it. But I'm saying, and not only that they broke the franchise laws, they set a precedent for all these other companies like Fisker, Lucid, or whoever that are going to go direct to consumer, again, continuing to break franchise law. You know, and dealers just keep taking it on the chin, right? Now, to answer Jim's question, you know, it will also be devastating for service departments, right? Because electrical cars do not need maintenance as much as internal combustion engine cars, right? So dealers that are drooling about the new electrical cars coming, you got to wake up, right? You'll be out of business, right? Because there will be no service business for you to go after. There'll be over-the-air updates. Everybody will be selling direct to consumer. And by the time you realize what happened, you'll be in bankruptcy court.
Well, yeah,
I love what's about to happen here because Max never gets like this on a show. He's just like, no. And now he's like, that's it. The whole industry is tanking. We're screw climate control.
Hey, Max, if I could jump in, and Jim Ziegler could tell you this, there's no bigger advocate for dealers in the industry than me, 40 years
That's
of
true.
it.
And
that's part of the reason that I didn't want to like the Tesla.
Yeah.
No one could convince me that Tesla's model of selling direct, once they get, 4 or 5 million vehicles on the road and people have to use them every day, they have to get to work. A lot of people bought them as a toy. It was their second, third, fourth vehicle, what have you. But when it becomes an everyday driver, are they really going to invest? Is that more efficient than the dealer model to invest all that capital in showrooms and service facilities? I hear the service experience leaves a lot to be desired, is what I've heard in terms of trucking the vehicles around and what have you.
is not there. I live in a country club community, gated, guarded community, and there's Teslas all over the place where I live. I mean, and it's a status symbol. It's something that people do to show the car.
But I agree with you, Max. Like if you look at what dealers make now, they're killing it the last couple of years, but historically with new car gross, I don't know, $1,000, $1,200, the markup on warranty, it's a cheap date in terms of a distribution and customer facing system, in my opinion, and it's proven itself over 120 freaking years. So I think it's going to survive. I think a lot of these guys trying to go direct are going to figure out that eventually that they're going to need either a dealer franchise system or access to one.
They're going to have to set something like that up. You know,
I think so. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, what I do think, there's less oil changes and shit to break, I guess is the technical term. But the batteries are heavy. There's going to be more wear and tear on the tires, more wear and tear on the brakes. You end up selling policies, special brake and tire policies, special policies on all the electronics in the vehicle.
That's what I want to
shift which
They're going to have to
we're making the
reinvent the
most money
service
on.
contract industry.
Yeah,
Man.
they will. They will.
They're going to have to
I'm sorry.
reinvent what service contracts cover. Now Max is a little old fashioned. He still has a rotary dial on his cell phone.
That's right.
That's because of the CIA.
He's got a flip phone. He's got a flip phone.
CIA
I
stuff.
don't know, and maybe I'm being an ostrich here, but I just don't believe that anybody is going to take better care of my customers than me. And I think we've seen this with, as long as it's taken some of these other, big names like Carvana and such to get that type of penetration, because, and not everybody, because Max is going to jump in here and tell me I live in a utopia inside of my head, right?
Max
But
does
customer
that.
service is the most important thing. I tell every single one of my salespeople, we don't sell cars. We sell a relationship. We are what they are buying. And that's why when Mark was talking, I was like, okay, I could get a mobile charging station and I could go, I know that I have, this and that. And then, what I could also do some like advertising beacons while that mobile charging station is there and start pinging everybody else who works in the damn office building. Oh, sorry, Jim, I cursed. But I just don't think that some of these direct models are going to give, especially when it comes to highline customers, what they are expecting. And I've got Porsche, I've got Audi, I've got Jag, I've got Land Rover. I mean, I don't have any bigs yet, but I feel like I've got big enough for those highline customers. They expect more. And yes, I think Tesla was a novelty. It was an awesome play toy to begin with. And to Mark's point, as more and more of the mainline folks get in there, and this becomes something that the country is even trying to push, when the average Joe, right, is still, when I have the Nissan versus the Tesla, what is that difference going to look like? And for me, again, my Nissan customers get the same level of service as my Land Rover customers. So I just don't think these direct models are ever going to be able to fulfill the need these customers have to be taken care of from start to finish, and not just
that will surface. Now, let me ask Durran a question.
Go ahead.
Durran, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Let me put you in the laid spot there. What training are we going to have to do on this thing now? It's all changing. Are you up to it?
Absolutely. And so Jennifer just hit the nail on the head, though. So many companies have raised the bar that it's still going to be about the experience, so you won't be selling so much about this EV and, wait a minute. Hasn't customer experience become a buzzword?
No.
I think
it's
a buzzword.
Virtual high five.
It's sort of like, artificial intelligence. Everybody claims to have it and it doesn't exist, No,
the customer experience is still key. And I would dial it back a little bit more, and I would say the employee experience is up there as well. So the employee experience and the customer experience the bar has been raised. And I love what she was saying about, as more dealers raise their bar, it's going to hurt these direct to consumer industries, because if the experience is that great, who wouldn't want to go through that experience? So we have the chance now to kind of get that trend up. So like Carvana thought they had something, but then as more dealers are like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing.
Have you read their reviews? Have you read Carvana's reviews?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's the same with the service.
The myth and the reality are two different things with Carvana. The myth has been cleverly advertised and created, but the reality, go to Carvana, take a gander at their reviews. CarMax is probably the model I'd want to emulate right now if I want to emulate anybody.
Well, it's interesting because the only thing a dealer has to do right now is step up their game, and they can beat out their competitor without doing anything else. The problem is where customer experience becomes a buzzword is when we think of like, oh yeah, I walked in from the door and I did a stupid ass old walk around and I did this. And the truth is, customer experience is you ask me how I want my journey. Did she say that? And the difference is you ask me as the customer how I want my journey to go, and you tailor to it. And you empower your employees to be able to, and you don't lose gross doing that, and you get solid, awesome reviews, and any dealer that does it can beat out the competitor easily.
Empower your employees.
For crying out loud, do you know that if you go to Kohl's, okay, I'm going to throw this out here, just a basic store, Kohl's. Do you know that Kohl's employees at the register are empowered to make up to a $50 decision without checking with anybody? So that if Kohl's cash is expired or something like that, they can do it, and people rave over it. It's not an awesome store. It's like Kmart and Target had a baby together and then threw in a TJ Maxx. It's weird. And their clothes are terrible. But I buy things there all the time because I don't have to deal with 50 people.
They had a baby
but that
together.
goes back, harkens back to I started at a Cadillac dealership, right? Cadillac, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, GMC.
Which one?
Our staff was empowered because we did
Mark
the Ritz-Carlton. What?
Which one? Mark said which Cadillac dealership?
Oh, McDonald Cadillac in Saginaw, Michigan.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Yeah. So we embodied Ritz-Carlton training because that was what Cadillac gave for customer service. So our salespeople were empowered up to $300 to make a decision. If they wanted floor mats to close the deal, give it to them. But that came from Ritz, because Ritz-Carlton's is a $2,000 decision that their employees are empowered to make. Why cannot we do? Can we $300? Right.
But some of it's simple stuff too, like research. The two biggest things that came up is a customer. A lot of them like the Carvana model. People that like the Carvana model, the test, they like the fact that they know they negotiate the price with their computer. They don't have to sit in front of a human being and negotiate the price. So they want to know once they walk in the store that everything they did on the computer that the salesman knows, and they don't have to start over again. Like,
Right.
my trade was appraised at this. The price, it's $459 a month, and it's a titanium package, whatever. That's one. Then, and we all know that a lot of the negotiation, the dealers get a bad rap for us because the customer comes in and I say, I want that one. What's the payment? $650. Well, I can only afford $450, and then the dealer's got to figure that out, and we know all that. But and then the number two, the second biggest thing, especially from women, when the car's in service, they want a text message saying your car's done and here's what you got to pay. Because it is terrifying for them to go up to that cashier's window and they have no
bullshit.
They need
we're not normal.
That's not true. We are not owning that as a thing. That is not true. The truth is that no customer wants to walk up that desk, and not because they're terrified, because it's bullcrap every time you're up there. They're not salespeople sitting in service like they should be. They barely ever know if your car is ready. And then when you ask them a question, I walked into 3 different dealerships this year to ask a question about the maintenance on the car that I needed to have done. Not one service advisor could tell me what my upcoming maintenance was.
Well, Bobbie, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the exact same thing.
We're taking out the part where it's not that it's scary, it's that it's annoying.
Yeah, okay. But they want to know, hey, my car's done.
And I think what Bobbie is saying is not gender specific.
Delivered. They want to know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying gender specific. I'm saying, like, I'm not on a straight up feminist rant right now, although I could be, but I'm not. I'm talking about men and women. It's annoying. It's annoying. I took my car in for service when my battery stopped working.
You turned into such a liberated Nazi.
But it's not that. It's that I think it's so important when and I know it's your first time on here with us, but if we don't challenge each other on this stuff, then everybody in the sidebar, they do it and then they go, oh, they're just like pacifying each other. But I think you're right. Like, how hard is it to send a text message? Exactly. Just like how hard is it for us on this call right now and what we've been talking about to know that it doesn't really matter if any of us want an electric car to come out. And it doesn't really matter if we don't change our style and a franchise goes away, because if we don't adapt, we die. And GM is putting out 30 electrical vehicles in 2025. It's 2021 right now, and we're halfway through. And we're doing that same crap we did when millennials were a thing.
They're coming, whether
it's not.
It's inevitable.
Or die.
Inevitable. It's coming.
And I think the warranty could be better for electric.
Just a second. We can beat this part of the show to death, but I was looking at Infiniti and Nissan are trying to make a comeback again.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you read all the articles and all the trade publications, all of a sudden, and I have said from the beginning, Infiniti ain't Lexus, ain't never going to be Lexus. The harder they try, they're never going to get there, because since Carlos Ghosn exited in a suitcase, or however he snuck out of Japan, it ain't going to happen.
I want to know how that happened. Was Max there? Max, did you do that?
It was Max. You know that, right?
Did you smuggle going out of Japan?
He already sold the movie rights. I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
Really?
Oh my!
I am serious, and it'll be awesome. Because
Carlos Ghosn always reminded me of Dr. No in James Bond movies.
Yeah.
I've never watched a James Bond movie, so I can't participate in this joke.
What? You've never watched it? Listen.
Oh, they're the best. They're the best.
I just haven't seen one.
Start with
now I'm going to add them.
My best friend lives under a rock.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Reconditioning is now the issue. Everywhere I'm reading, everybody's talking about Recon. CarMax is stepping up their Recon. I mean, how important is Recon? Durran, what are you laughing over there about? You?
Oh, I can't help it. Jennifer's killing me. Like,
Sorry, my face can't stop it. It just does it.
I love that she makes faces. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to get on the subject
I got a
of
turf war with
recon,
Carmex. Sorry,
because
by the way.
everybody now is getting these recon centers. All of a sudden, they're popping up everywhere. You know, we got some of these rapid recon companies and everything. You know, so let's
You're
talk
not supposed to
about
pause.
somebody.
That was great. Recon companies, do you mean, are you talking about physical recon locations or the software?
I'm talking about
dealerships
dealership groups are building recon centers, and
Yeah.
they're saying recon can turn inventory a lot quicker.
Well, how's that new?
Well,
You mean they're
it's
saying
not
that
new, but it's all of a sudden a new
revelation?
revelation. All of a sudden,
Like,
they're
okay.
talking about it.
So here's a
It's-
wonderful example. And for those of you who don't know Bobbie and I very well, we're best friends now, but we started working for competitive automotive groups. And I will tell you, one of the jobs, and I started in accounting, and so I ran the offices for multiple businesses. And we had an economy lot that was halfway between Bobbie's Buick store and my Cadillac store, an economy lot. And so we actually spun off a separate Recon Center, because why am I going to pay for an A-Tech to do recon on an economy lot car or a budget car? I'm not certifying it. I'm not doing this. Plus, I can't wait. Not only is the cost
Okay,
higher,
there we go. Now you're on the subject I want to be talking about.
yes. So when we can't hire techs, we can't do this. And we did. We only had 3 lifts. But we churned out so many cars because that's all they were doing. Internal work. They serviced nobody else. We, as used car managers or departments, get put on the back burner all the damn time. But what you charge us is more than you're charging customer pay per hour. Now, do we have the bays? Yes, maybe, maybe not. Build it. It's not that hard to put up those types of facilities. But where I am struggling, and I think so many of us are, is the technicians. But if you
technicians, now when I was working with Lynn Hickey Dodge in Oklahoma City back in the 90s, when they set the Guinness Book of World Records, Lynn Hickey had a dedicated technicians, dedicated recon center. They could turn a car in 72 hours. Now, less than 20 miles from where I sit right now is the Carvana Reconditioning Center. And it is one of their biggest edges, the way that they hit these cars up for recon.
Vroom used to have one here in Indianapolis and shut it down and fired a whole bunch of people. This was
Did they really? Why do you think
years
that
ago.
was?
It cost them too much money.
Yeah, my son, he's disabled. About 3 months ago, the Suburban Group, you'd be familiar with them. Jennifer, was now Lithia. Okay.
Yeah.
They have 6 dealerships and they have 45 stores altogether. It's mainly in Michigan, but right in the area we live, they had 6. And they built a brand new state-of-the-art recon center and photo booth. And my son works there. He's the first one that touches the car. He cleans it out. He pulls the carpets. He vacuums the car. He checks for this and that. He's got a checklist, which he loves doing. He loves to work, $15 an hour. He's thrilled to have the job. And and then the car eventually makes it. Now, if it needs more work, it goes someplace else. He doesn't do that, or maybe he'll learn someday. And then it goes to the photo booth, and it services all 6 of those dealerships. And it is even with the short inventory, it's a freaking machine. I mean, and it's.
And if they wanted to shorten their days to market, they could take the pictures before they sent them out. He could put them all cleaned up and take those photos and get them online at least. But for me, I guess my brain has always been, well, if you have an area that's inefficient, you need to find those parts and separate it. And what we have internal in the dealership specific is that I'm trying to get my techs on customer pay. Because I think that's, I don't want the negative CSI, because my used car manager doesn't get a CSI survey after you're done with his cars. And so we focus there, but where's the money for the store? And that's why I was sharing that story about McDonald, where we did a divide and conquer, right? Let the franchise tax handle that work, do the CPO recon that needed to be done. And then we had non-A techs. They were still doing the same inspection points that our A techs were. And it was easier for me to get them. So I was.
Let me go to the next step on this thing, because where I was heading with this, there's a Genesis dealership in some of the trade publications. Your Hyundai Genesis, that is a separate brand now. A dealerless dealership. I mean, the whole dealership is a BDC with a bunch of valets and lacks a showroom. I mean, now where are we headed with that? Is that a possibility? Is that coming?
So you mean like 90% of the other dealerships that already exist, but pretend that they sell cars?
They do what?
So like 90% of the dealerships that already exist, where the BDC teaches absolutely everything, and the salesperson is a valet to them. But then we're like, oh no, we sell cars like that. That's what I mean. I'm not saying everybody.
Well, you're just the queen of BDC. You're all prejudice. Durran, jump in there. Slap her around a bit.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think I'm sitting here thinking that'd be interesting. I mean, again, it comes back to that experience. So what does it look like? Are they just setting appointments to just, a customer says they want a Genesis and they're
appointments for what? There's no place to go to.
Right. Virtual appointments.
So they're just
appointments, and they do all the walk-arounds at the people's homes or their businesses.
Oh,
you see where I'm heading?
Yeah. Let me ask Bobbie. Let me ask Bobbie a follow-on to that. Is now I left Ford 7 months ago, but at the end, dealers were telling me that during COVID, they laid off some salespeople, but they had to beef up their BDC. So let's say they had 10 salespeople and 5 in a BDC, they might have went to 7 and 7. And
right.
And they started letting the BDC people, now not every dealer said this, I'm generalizing,
right.
but started letting them go from end to end rather than just setting up appointments.
Yeah.
And most dealers told me those changes are going to be permanent, that they're going to have, the more people in the
right.
BDC than they had before, and they're letting the BDC people go end to end if they could. Not a lot of customers they can't. You got to get them
right.
in and figure out. But is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
As we transition, it's all coming in through the internet. The internet is your website is your showroom.
Right. The problem before it didn't.
Google is the battlefield.
It didn't change from what customers have been asking for or what we've been doing. What actually happened is die or adapt or die. The dealership had no choice but to embrace it. And look, I am a queen of BDC and of CRM technology, but I also don't believe that every dealership should have a BDC. I think you can have a BDC, you can have a sales team, you can have a hybrid. It matters what the leaders will promote, because there's no reason that it took till COVID for a BDC to be empowered to actually service a customer, except that nobody knows how to lead them normally. And they're afraid, and they're like, oh, they just answer phones. But funny enough, during COVID, we learned that turns out their job must be a little bit harder than the salesperson's when it's coming to getting the person in, right? Not necessarily the walkthrough. It's not the same skill set. So they're both equally important, but the BDC often is like, oh, can you grab lunch? Can you wrap a present? Can you go to a community event? Like, why are you putting $80,000 a month of your marketing money to a set of people who you don't believe have the skills to even have a conversation? And then focusing solely on the floor.
Guys, let me jump in here.
Let Max jump in here a second.
I'm a simple person, right? And I mean, I see through the bullshit, right? So the only reason it's difficult to do BDC right is because we're not willing to be transparent about pricing, right?
Yeah,
and to be honest. And if you call Vroom, right, their BDC is not better. It's just that their job is easier because they say, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, do you see the price on the website? This is exactly what you're going to pay. There will be no hidden fees and none of that. So unless we wake up, right, and I'm going to tie this back to Tesla, right? Because again, listen, maybe I'm old-fashioned, right? But if you take the registrations of Californians out of the equation, Tesla is nowhere, right? And the rest of electrical cars are nowhere because California represents almost 40% of those registrations. Luckily for us, majority of Americans do not live in California, right? So now, what Tesla does do right is the customer experience. right? Because you don't negotiate, there is no pressure to buy a car, and people are willing to do the process the way Tesla designed it, direct to consumer, right?
But they don't have the competition that the dealers have.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden you're saying, hey, you're a franchise guy. If there's going to be franchise, there's going to be competition. Tesla is competing against itself. It's the same price at the other Tesla dealership as this.
No, because a customer who's shopping for Tesla can buy a Mercedes S-Class or a BMW 7 Series.
All right, we've got the Taycan. We've got a lot for Audi. We've got a lot more luxury EVs, and I've got a lot of them represented in my brands, and I am coming after Tesla hard.
But it's the customer experience that dictates everything, right? And I hear, right, that people that do buy Teslas, they not only that they love the car, they love the way the car is being sold to them. They love how quickly you can order a car online and get a text message saying that the car will be delivered to your house in 14 days.
It's the shenanigans.
Right. So the process,
the shenanigans of it all.
The process is what dealerships need to focus on. Right. And again, listen, Genesis is probably, these are illusions of grandeur. They think Genesis is Lexus. Right. But again, if they will be able to provide this experience, people will be willing to drive Genesis. And again, I'm not bad-mouthing Genesis. Just look at their registration numbers. They're non-existent. If you sell 20 Genesis a month, you're number one dealer on the planet.
So, but what's interesting about that is you're 100% right. It is the convenience, but I would challenge to even say further than that. Isn't it interesting that every time we talk about dealerships who compete with each other, you talk about when people are physically on the lot? Not you, I mean, in general. Everybody does it. When they're who's your competitor? It's always the person you hear on the lot. You have an entire set of competitors before that customer even engages with you. And then once they do, and then they don't talk to you, that's an entirely different set of competitors. By the time you get them on the phone, which by the way, it's like 200 attempts to get somebody to answer if they do. If you're not empowered to actually answer the question, because this is frustrating, you're like, oh, hold on, let me switch you to sales. I'll have them call you back 200 attempts later. All because we're afraid. We're scared. We're scared that we can't make the gross if we're not in front of them. Just like finance has, I have to take a finance TO over the phone. I won't make as much money. Like, man up about it, right? Yes, you will if you're transparent. I decided when I bought my car that I didn't want to go through the dealership experience. I bought my lease out because the experiences were so bad on what we did, and I didn't even want the lease anymore. And I bought it out. It was a nightmare at the dealership. And I went in with, here's the amount I'm paying for it, and you make $1,500. I want this warranty, and you can mark me up $1,000. That's fair. I'm going to provide my financing, but you can sell me the gap with a $200 markup. There's no reason to make me come in and do all kinds of crazy stuff. The paperwork should have been ready when I got there. The sales manager, I get there, he goes, that's not how we do business. Oh, well, what is it that my paperwork is not ready for? What can you possibly still sell me? I already looked at all your products. I let you make money on me. I was fair. And I gave you everything you needed. And if I have to have that kind of experience, imagine what it's like for a customer. Of course, I wanted to buy from Carvana last time.
Let me jump in a second here with Durran. Let me ask you a question. Are you obsolete?
I don't think so.
Hold on, repeat that again because it got loud in here. What'd you say?
I say, are you? Is what you're teaching obsolete? Are you?
No. So
are you being sucked down in the tar pits? I mean, what's happening?
So Bobbie makes some valid points about the BDC, but the flip side happened, and I'm sorry if it's a little loud. They brought in some stuff in here, so try to bear with me. But the BDC, I don't even like the name BDC anymore. Like, I want to eliminate that name. I think the name is garbage. BDC stands for business development, right? That's because 15, 20 years ago, a lot of salespeople, they lost the art on how to develop business. Yeah. So what I call it now is like the online experience team is what it should be called. So if you start hearing those names, you can kind of give me some of that credit unless Bobbie's already.
No, we call it the customer experience team, but let's transition that. Let's do it together.
Customer care managers.
Business communications center, whatever.
Yeah. But we've got to change that name and what we're doing. But so I had the opposite happen during COVID. During COVID, one of my clients, they eliminated their BDC, but it's because the BDC was not the best performing BDC. So that's a cash drain. Right. So if the BDC is not performing well, so me and the owner, we talked and we like, now is the time to freaking force our sales managers to do the job that they should be doing in the first place. So I said, let's make it happen. He's like, so coach them, walk them through what this process needs to look like. So BDC is gone. We actually still have not brought them back. Leads came into the sales managers and they did the deal from beginning to end. And they used their salespeople throughout the process to kind of do like the demo, to do the video walk around. But even still to this day, the managers and the salespeople, they do the process together.
So let me hang on. I got to ask a question before you get too far.
Yeah.
The sales managers, the busiest team members in the dealership are taking the inbound leads.
Yes. Now, currently,
the busiest
not right now.
employees.
This was during COVID. So this is when it was crazy. And
okay.
But now they still are involved in the process more than ever before because COVID made them slow down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the same thing that happened with BDCs, like, but even still now the BDCs since COVID need to be more empowered than ever before. So every BDC team, man, there we go saying BDC, every online team needs to have people that know how to make decisions, structure car deals, you know, do help with finance. I'm not saying that they spin the deals, but they need to know how to do more to address the customer's concerns.
I have never understood why BDC managers are not taught how to desk deals.
The Southern is coming out. That means she's getting
now.
First of all,
okay. If Ziegler bought a dealership, I never was a dealer. I never was a general manager. I was a general sales manager, but multiple stores. So let's and as a manager, I always wanted to have a BDC. And as a BDC, I wanted to empower the BDC to make a deal without even consulting a sales manager. I wanted them to have managed, you know, if I was to buy a dealership today, all of my managers would have equal authority. I would have a general sales manager and a service department manager, period.
I wouldn't hire a GM unless they had BDC experience. I'll tell you that right now.
Boom. There we go.
I would absolutely not, because that is the new age. And you know what's funny is it's not even that we can't call it BDC. It's that they are a sales team working in conjunction with another one. And the separation causes so many problems. But I will tell you, at Garber years ago, while I was competing with Jennifer, crying out loud, we took our Buick store, our flagship store, which was our most profitable and our oldest in the community with the best reviews. We staffed the BDC with a manager, a sales manager that was empowered to run that team and work in correspondence. So the goal was to have somebody come in, obviously, for an appointment and do the whole thing, but they were empowered to answer anything. You know how her pay plan worked? Exactly the same way as the sales manager's pay plan. And they were all required to attend the same meetings. They were all required, like everybody was on equal level. Still to this date, that is the most successful operation that I have ever implemented.
Well, that's the problem. BDC employees do not have empowerment. As a matter of fact, most of them work for a minimum wage and free pizza.
I don't know about that. I've got BDC agents making anywhere from $2,500 to $9,000 a month. So
I said most of them. Most of them.
You know why though? Because here's why though. Because as the dealership is hiring, and this is not a bad thing about the dealership. So if a dealer's listening, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just want to be honest. Right? But here's the deal. Dealerships do this. They go, oh, we need to staff a BDC. Let's pay them $10 an hour and hire a 19-year-old with no experience because they just have to answer the phone. Like, first of all, the amount of communication skills that you need to work in a BDC to get somebody to answer you is incredible. It is not the same skill set as being a salesperson. It's communication and closing. It's the old school hook and close. It just looks different now.
Who blows more deals than anybody in the dealership?
The sales manager?
The receptionist.
Well, that's probably why.
Because the whole idea of a dealership today, nobody takes their calls.
Yeah.
Nobody takes their phone calls. And the receptionist believes it's his or her job. Notice I said his first. The receptionist believes it's his or her job to get those people to voicemail and get them off the phone as quick as possible. They never get the people to their destination.
You know what the problem is with that is people not taking the time to make sure their salespeople in BDC have direct lines that ring out as that line and then forward to their phone.
The sales managers won't take their calls.
The sales managers that have to. Not in the beginning.
No, I go in a dealership today, and I've been in a lot of dealerships recently, and I see people with their heads down watching their computer screens. They have no awareness of their lot, no awareness of their business.
Yeah.
You know,
Jim's 100% right. And I
Yeah.
think that's something as a dealer or a general manager, you have to have a zero tolerance policy for. And there are technologies that make that efficient. I will tell you, we use a technology. Unless you call the hard line of the dealership, you're not talking to our receptionist. You are going routed exactly where I want you to go, to a team of at least 5 people that it's going to ring, so that you can get taken care of. And I even have the analytics on the hard line. So if the receptionist stumps you off or somebody doesn't call you back, guess what happens? An alert automatically fires off so we can take care of our customers.
I wouldn't want to face you if I screwed up. You are a piranha.
No, I believe in giving my teams the tools and the tactics that they need to succeed. And like I said earlier, I was asking the question about giving all fresh inbound leads to sales managers, knowing how much we pile on them. Guys, we beat up on them a lot in these conversations, but they, in most cases, are doing the best with what they've been given. They were not trained how to create a whole separate business unit.
Most sales managers learned their job by watching somebody that got fired.
Well, and that's
100%.
Like, I think because I have the business background outside of it, I look at how some of these BDCs are built, and then they're saying, well, it wasn't performing. No, you just built the dang thing the wrong way. Exactly. You just built it wrong. They never had a chance.
Yeah. Okay, guys, guess
hard.
what? We have been on for 57 minutes, and I want to. Wow, this time has flown. Durran, have you had a good time?
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for everybody for letting me be on here. Hopefully you invite me again. I had a lot of fun. That was great.
Oh, absolutely. We'll talk about more of your subject. We'll get into more of Max's subject. Max is a little left out today. Max is the reinsurance F&I guru. I mean, and he's also
Max brought some heat
the
today.
management guru.
Yeah, Max got sassy today.
Yeah, Max is a little sassy.
Who knew? All we needed was an electric
How
car.
about Mark LaNeve, guys? How about it?
Oh my gosh, Mark!
You did great.
We need to have some conversations after. I need to learn more.
I want people to know Mark the way Mark, and I'm going to say this to his face, is a wonderful human being. I've known him for a long time. She's got Jim Kelly, the ex-Buffalo Bills quarterback's jersey behind him.
Jim's a friend, and he had a special child that was born with a child blood disorder, and I helped him he's helped me with my charities. I helped him with his, and he's a great guy, great football player, and a great guy.
Absolutely, I'm telling you, Max. How's the reinsurance business?
I mean, listen, it's good, and I'm surprised that a lot of dealers don't do it. And I'm not making it as a self-serving comment. It's just
no. Go ahead and self-serve. This isn't.
No.
We're salespeople here.
But oftentimes it feels that the OEM is pushing the dealer to sell OEM products or to stay away from reinsurance, which is actually very self-serving on the part of OEM.
Mm-hmm.
And the smart dealers, again, they see through the BS, and the smart dealers will always be, reinsuring or selling, their product from perspective of the white labeling product, right? Because it automatically increases your service retention. And again, since we're talking about electric cars, at the end of the day, the dealers, whether we like it or not, dealers make a lot of money selling parts and labor. And going after the internal combustion engine customer is going to be the real differentiator between winners and losers down the road.
We're about to sign off here in a second, but thank you for that dissertation on reinsurance, because I'll tell you, I'm a believer in white labeling your products. Why would you allow the manufacturer to collect forfeiture, people that don't cancel? And, forfeiture is a big part of white labeling products. And I mean, the manufacturer captures all the forfeiture.
That's right.
Jennifer,
That's what I meant by self-serving,
Yeah, Jennifer, we had a good show today.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just get like, we went from here to there, but I just get fired up about some of that. Like it ultimately, and I'm the first, I sound like I'm a real hard to work for, but I always look at me first. As a leader, did I give that person everything that they needed to succeed? Because it's not a weak salesperson ever, whether it's a BD or a floor sales. It's not their fault. It is our job.
I have spent 35 years teaching managers how to be managers.
Mhm.
I mean, they don't know how to manage. I mean, and it's amazing. I mean, I'm not talking about the techniques of the system of the dealership. I'm not talking about the processes. I'm talking about how to manage people.
Yeah.
And to be a manager, to me, I grew up on the bad side of a bad town with poor parents and high school education. I can't have a class reunion until the rest of my friends get out of prison. And it's so when I became a manager, that meant something to me.
Did.
Manager is a title of dignity, authority, and respect, and you don't earn respect, you take respect. I've had a general manager tell me early in my career, Jim, you got to earn these people's respect. Hell no, I don't. Respecting me is part of their job description. I mean, check my business card, and I will earn their respect because I'm a show off, but I don't have to. Bobbie, did you have a good show today? Queen of BDC.
I did have a great show today. And I know like Mark and Durran, you're new in here, so you're probably like, oh my gosh, with these people. But I actually learned a lot on the show today too. And I really like when we get collaborative and passionate like that as a group. I feel like it opens my mind to things that I need to view differently and to get the best feedback in there. So no, I had a really great show today. And I appreciate it. My automotive news video came out today and I got to watch it this morning and listen to the podcast. So I was doing
one of those 40 under 40 people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still waiting for 80 under 80.
Well, listen, if you add mine and Bobbie's 40 under 40 together, there's your 80 under 80.
Yeah, 80 under 80.
Okay.
No, but I think the show was great. And, when you talk about like teaching management style, I'm so known for BDC and CRM technology because it's so easy in the dealership to help them lift in that because they don't know. But we do that, right? We go in and teach operations and stuff. And I'm open to learning as much as somebody else. That's how Jennifer and I became best friends because she taught me things and I taught her things. That's how I know she gets southern.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, did you see where Disney World dropped that?
Dropped what?
Disney World's no longer saying ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. They took that out of their announcements.
We should not talk about that right now.
So I didn't know.
Yeah, they took it out. Well, I'm going to say ladies and gentlemen anyway. I still use all the normal pronouns.
I definitely identify as a lady.
I will identify as anything on the day, but I support it all.
So unsocially conscious.
I know. I even gave you a code.
I'm socially conscious.
Ally.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being on the show today. I'll have this up on LinkedIn and all over social media. I'm going to send it out on email. I'm going to put it on the Alpha Dawg on demand, Ziegler on demand platform. Everybody wave goodbye to the people.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks, guys.